So before we get out of CapCut, let's just tie all of this together. Um, and I'll use sample footage. So if you guys want to follow along, just to see if you just how it all makes sense. So first things first, let's add a. Let me make sure. Okay. So first things first, let's add a video. So for you guys, stop immediately. So here's our stop. Find some footage you want to work with. I'll choose this and this. So I'm choosing two. You could choose one, you could choose two, you could choose three, however much. But look at videos, they can make sense. They don't have to, but just some sample footage. Now, what we just did, we brought our video to the timeline. So now we have our video, right? But let's say we want some audio. Let's add some music, right? So again, go to audio, search a sound that you want. Um, let's say, uh, let's just say Christmas music, but you can pick any song you want. So yeah, just for the sake of example, I'll choose that. So once I got my audio, same thing, click, drag it. But let's push it over so it takes over the whole clip. So now we got our video and our audio. Okay. Now let's add that title to finish it off. Same thing, go to text, right here, default text, click, drag everything you'll drag to the timeline, dragging it. Cool. It says default text. We don't like that color because it blends in. We can't really read it. So let's change the text. Let's change it to like my video. And again, we can change the color of it. Let's maybe do what's a good color. Maybe green. Uh, well, I'll do purple, but then I'll add a style to it. Oops. Do something like that. So you can add styles. So great. We got our text, we got our video, and we got our music. So play it all. I might want to extend this a little bit more. And obviously, this isn't like you wouldn't finish it off like this, but just to show you how you can have everything incorporated in here. And again, notice these layers. Here's your text layer for your title. Here's your video layer for the video, and here's your audio layer for the music. So they all are placed on like along each other to create this project. Again, you can hide stuff with this hidden eye lens. You can hide the text, or you can hide the video. Again, you can lock it. You can lock that. So that's basically kind of what I wanted to cover today. Just this basic intro to just the timeline and dragging clips and cutting clips. So any questions with that part? Because that's important. Yeah. So if you click my video, so click your layer, your text, your title layer again, and you'll see it's also named here. But this will always be your title layer. It'll always be at the top. So to change it, make sure you click it, come over here to text, and you see font right here, and then you can click all these fonts to work with. You might have to scroll down a little bit, but these are all fonts. So I have one here called Bangers, um, Elegant. Yep. So that's how you change your font. And then you can change the size to that, and then the color. Any other questions? Okay. So yeah. So text, video, audio. And again, this is how you zoom out. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in CapCut. There's a lot more, but it's just intro to it. And if you ever want to, I didn't mention this, but if you want to play, just play the video and entirely click the space bar, or you can click this play button right here. Uh, and if you want to zoom in to see like the full video, just click that uh, zoom in button right here. That makes it bigger so you can see it. If it was like exported, what it, and yeah, all right. So like I said, this saves automatically, but I don't think you guys will have the same laptops every day. So like you could just exit out of this, or if you like what you made, or if you did make something, you can save it. But uh, yeah, so that's all I got for CapCut today. Um, so we can exit out of that. And like I said, once you exit, it automatically saves it, which is can't get over that enough how useful that is. Um, yep. All right. So if there's no questions with that, this video that I wanted to show. It was oh yeah. So I want to show. So this video about post production, and then I'll stop, make some notes. But I really just want you to see about the post production process. And video editing is post production. So I think I talked about it before. There's three stages: pre-production, production, post-production. Pre-production is script stuff, production is filming it, and then post-production is everything after. So editing, color grading, sound effects. So I just want to finish it off by showing this, and yeah, I'll make some notes. Fighting to lower prescription drug costs. So middle class families keep more after this ad. I both. Film feel like a miracle. This series demystified the film process. In our previous episode, looked at production. Today, we'll see where everything captured on set comes together. Goes into finishing a film, and I'm involved in the process. And cut. What do you think about the step? Can y'all hear that? Like back there? Okay, let's make it. So let me just try to do one thing, just to make it sound slightly better. Okay. Well, that's just never mind. Just waiting to stop touching stuff.
Exciting Diviner and enable notification. Watch the future episodes in this series. Today, we're joined by editor Eddie Hamilton, sound designer Mark Mangini, and composer Renee Rocio. Let's begin. Post-production is the creation of a final product once footage has been captured. Stage includes picture and sound editing and the creation of visual effects. Post-production can begin before production. An editor, for example, may start cutting footage as the film is still being shot. Or visual effects artists may start building out digital worlds. The length of the post-production stage varies widely, depending on the size of the team and budget. Post-production work for Avatar: The Way of Water lasted years.
So I just want to make a note about this. I don't know if you guys have seen the Avatar movie, this maybe the first or second one. You said what? You said it's fire? Yeah. But the first one, many people don't know this, but when he directed it, he had Avatar done in like 1999, but he waited 10 years until the technology was right so he can make it the way he wanted to make it. So he had the script, he had everything done, but he was like, no, I don't want to make it yet because I don't have the technology yet. So he waited 10 years till he got the right CGI, visual effects technology, and then he made Avatar. So, which was a good choice because that was one of the biggest movies ever in terms of visual, and this one of the highest grossing movies I think ever. So that was a good choice. But I just want to point that out that that movie, uh, like the first one was already done 10 years before. It just didn't get finalized till later on.
Whereas post-production for a smaller film may last just several months. But a lower budget can also lengthen the post-process if there are. For example, Shane took 2 years after shooting to complete his minor budget movie, Primer. The post-production process may also be protracted with test screenings, where cuts of the film are shown to an audience to gauge their reaction.
So I'm not gonna keep stopping it, but I just want to make a point in this is that a lot of movies that you see, the editing is one of the longest processes. So if a movie takes so like Into the Spider Verse, like that was a great movie and like great effects and visuals. That movie took, I think they said like 8 months to render and edit. So it took just as long to edit as it was to make it. And movies, they usually do a test screening to see the audience reaction to see if they like it or not. So I don't know if anybody saw the Joker, the second Joker that just came out, but it was horrible, right? So, well, some people may have liked it, but I didn't like it. And the reason why I don't think it was that good because they didn't do a test screening. He skipped the test screening. The director, he said, no, let's just make it. But most movies go through a test screening so you can see the audience reaction, get their pros and cons, like what they thought about it. And the director sometimes hides in the test screening movies just to see what people think. So that movie completely skipped the test screening process and just went straight to it, which wasn't that smart, but they did it anyway. And that's what happened. But yeah, most movies they do go through a test screening just to see the audience reactions. Sometimes the director's there, sometimes they're not. But yeah.
And make further changes. Titanic, for example, was cut down after a test audience felt several scenes were unnecessary. In most films, the post-production stage is overseen by the post-production supervisor, who makes sure the process is within budget and on schedule.
The post supervisor is the person who will be communicating on a weekly basis. This is how far through we are to the director's cut, how long the composer has been working for, how much ADR we've recorded, how long the sound is going to take to mix, how long the foreign language versions are going to take to mix. Ultimately, their job is to make sure there is a movie to release by the release date.
Post-production is much more than just placing together shots captured during production. It is the stage where a film crystallizes, where massive changes can occur, and new, unexpected created. Typically, the first setting process is picture editing. Without picture editing, a film doesn't get finished. This crucial step is completed by the editor.
My job is to watch all the footage and read the script and work closely with the director of the film to make whatever the best story that exists within the footage is. You know, it doesn't really matter what was on the page, and it doesn't matter what the director thought they shot on set. What matters is what we actually have in terms of raw footage to make the film.
So look at that. That's a timeline of like a feature film, and then ours was like this, right? So it looks like this, pretty simple. But on a real film set, you get something like that, which is crazy. Like, I don't even know how the guy sees these clips like that, but that's how it works.
Communication is an essential part of my job. That's why I use Grammarly, an AI partner trusted by millions of professionals.
It is also vital that the footage is secure. Many professional editors use Array, a data storage technology that combines multiple disk drives for data redundancy, performance improvement, or both. Many post-production houses will use a centralized storage system multiple people can access once without compromising speed. This is crucial for large and complex projects with multiple moving elements at once. A popular system is called a SAN, a storage area network. Organization is also paramount. This is where an assistant editor comes in, helping take in files and inputting metadata such as shot numbers, tape numbers, and other details.
My assistant editors are essential because I'm nothing without them. There's a lot of things that they do to prepare the footage for me to ensure that, I can do my work of editing the movie.
From here, the editor will begin to piece together the film, selecting takes based on performance, cinematography, narrative necessity, and more. Editing systems differ based on the editor, but popular softwares include Avid, Adobe Premiere. This type of cutting is called non-linear digital editing. It's now the norm in the industry, even for movies shot on film. Before digital editing, editors would typically cut together a copy of the film negative called the work print. This process typically occurred on a flatbed. For most movies shot on film today, film footage is scanned and a digital intermediate is created so that the film itself is not physically spliced. The first cut is called the assembly, which is where the editor and print have reviewed footage, selected takes, and placed them in their general order.
Like anything, the first draft is usually pretty average, but that's the process. That's any creative process. You've just got to get something down on the timeline. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, just get to the end.
Yeah, so movies, they go through 3 phases: the assembly, the rough cut, and then the final cut. So the assembly is just getting all the footage on there, working with it. The rough cut is like a rough cut of the film that they show the director, and he or she says, no, I don't like it, let's change this. And then it's the final cut where it's ready to go onto the theaters. So it's usually like 3 stages generally. So yeah.
Then the fun starts, because then you start refining it, and then you start improving it.
The editor will then refine the footage, creating a more deliberate rhythm and movement in each scene. This results in the rough cut. Next is the fine cut, where editing decisions are much more precise, coming down to a matter of frames.
Weeks and weeks and months and months and months, and then years of going over the movie. Can it be better? Can it be better? Can it be better? That's all we're doing every day, every hour, looking at every moment in the film. Is this perfect? Is this the best it can be? Is this the best delivery? Let's go to the other 70 versions of the line and see if there's one which is emotionally for this moment. Do you see any of your code on Facebook? Do you see any of your code on Facebook? Do you see any of your code on Facebook? That's the kind of detail and the level of affection and commitment that film editors have when they're working on a movie. You know, you live and breathe it.
When the editor, director, and producer the cut, they achieve picture lock. After a picture is locked, an editor may create an edit decision list, or EDL. This document is a list of time codes and shot numbers that allow a film to be re-edited and accessed. What need to be? For all the creative decisions that go into editing, check out our shot list episodes on the subject.
What do I do now?
With the picture cut, it is time for additional visual work to be done. Today, it is very rare that the footage captured on set will look exactly like the footage that is shown as the final product to audiences. Several different post-production teams are dedicated to refining and perfecting the final image. One of the largest of these teams is the visual effects department. Visual effects refers to any imagery that is created or manipulated that wasn't captured during the live-action shoot.
Another point I just want to make. So this is a visual effects team. So if you ever see movies that have a bunch of visual effects, so like those Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, any of that stuff, that's literally a whole team making that. On smaller budget films, it could be like one guy or girl, but for like Into the Spider-Verse, they had to like ship that film overseas to get that edited, just because America didn't even have the technology. I think they sent like to New Zealand or something for some of the movies just because we didn't have the technology. So this like visual effects team, that's visual effects teams and video game designers are the two most um like like excruciating rough occupations, because you're constantly like editing and changing stuff. Like it's one of the hardest jobs ever. And I don't know if you guys ever heard like stories from video game designers, how like the creators of GTA, how they were like stressed and like the working conditions, they had to work 24 hours a day. It's a lot of work that goes into it. So they get overlooked, but it's a lot of work that goes into it.
Largest of these teams is the visual effects department. Visual effects refers to any imagery that is created or manipulated that wasn't captured during the live-action shoot. VFX supervisor Adam Valdez explains the wide variety of work this can pertain to.
Visual effects, ranges all over the place, right? We have some that are invisible and you don't really know we've done anything, and we've got really dramatic stuff.
The visual effects department is led by the VFX supervisor. ImageWorks visual effects supervisor Daniel Kramer described the role.
I'm in charge of the project as far as all the visual effects that we end up doing at ImageWorks. I'm not necessarily the final say. Obviously, the director is, and there's art directors and so on. But we're there to execute their vision.
There are three primary areas of visual effects work: CGI, compositing, and motion capture. CGI stands for computer-generated imagery and refers to any visuals that are created completely by computer. Compositing, meanwhile, is combining multiple images in a single frame. This includes blue and green screen work, as well as separately recording in special effects, miniatures, and more. Motion capture is similar to rotoscoping. Artists use live-action footage to create realistic CGI. Footage is typically recorded in the production stage and then built out in post. Coloring is another crucial element of the post-production process. Before a colorist can begin their work, the data from the editing timeline has to undergo a process called conforming. Conforming looks different from project to project, but generally involves replacing the lower quality proxies the editor has been cutting with the original higher quality footage. Most modern colorists color grade on DaVinci Resolve. The colorist will typically work closely with the director and the cinema. Both give notes on what they are looking for out of each shot or scene. Cinematographer John de Borman explains the DP's role.
There might be something very specific, a look that might not be there when everybody's cutting it. You know, there were rushes and you haven't quite found the look that filters through the whole thing, and you do it there.
The colorist has a few tasks. The first is color correction, where the colorist strives to accurately represent colors and ensure there is visual continuity from shot to shot. This includes adjusting white balance, exposure, and skin tones. Then the colorist might apply a LUT, which stands for lookup table. This is a preset that transforms the color space of footage to achieve a desired look, typically designed by the colorist and DP. Sometimes a LUT will be created far before post-production, in pre-production. This allows the cinematographer to see what footage will look like with the LUT while they're filming on set. After applying the LUT, the colorist will then color grade further. Color grading refers to the stylization of footage. These are the creative decisions that help build the mood of scenes.
So just one really quick point: a colorist, if you ever hear that, same thing as a person who color grades. They basically color the film, give it that look. So Blade Runner, this is one of my favorite movies to look at visually because of the way that it was done, and just the colors of it, like that orange and that pink. So somebody was actually in a room making those colors as visual as possible. So that's what a colorist does. They make the movies, give it that, make it just more visually appealing.
Scenes. For movies shot on film, the coloring process can also involve different treatment processes and chemical baths when developing the reels, such as heat bypass. Another subsection of additional visuals provided in the post-production process are motion graphics. These refer to titles and basic animation, typically conducted in After Effects.
Senator Mike Hastings is a senator for everyone. He has heart for service. Senator Mike Hastings is a true champion for all of.
While the film is being polished by these various teams to reach its final look, a whole other collection of creatives are working on achieving the film's final sound.
So this is what I was saying. They used to physically make sound effects, like the lightsaber sound effect. It was like some guy in a room doing those noises. But now in CapCut, you could do that. But before they had to actually do it. So you can see how it saves time nowadays.
Sound is the other of the movie, and as such, it requires just as much attention as the visuals. The post-production sound process is typically overseen by the supervising sound editor, who ensures the film will have a cohesive and compelling soundscape as it's completed on schedule.
The supervising sound editor communicates with the filmmaker to understand the oral aesthetic. What do you want the sound of the movie to feel like? And then it's my job to communicate that information to my team and say, here's how I interpret that. We're going to make these kinds of sounds this way because they fit that aesthetic.
There are several stages within post-production sound. The first is sound editing. This is where the audio tracks for a film are cut together, the dialogue is arranged and cleaned up, and the necessary sound effects are added. Usually, additional sound would be necessary to record. This falls under the jurisdiction of sound designer.
Sound designers are supervising sound editors and vice versa, but often sound designers are only tasked with the creation of the sounds that don't actually exist in the real world, the sounds that you can't go out and immediately record or source from a sound effects library.
A film will usually require ADR, or automated dialogue replacement, which is where actors will re-record their dialogue for a certain scene if the audio recorded on the day is unusable.
We tend to lean away from ADR where possible, and therefore we try to save what we'll call dirty production that has too much ambient sound in it that's right for the scene, and we try to save it electronically with various post-production tools and plugins and things like that.
One point I also want to make, sound is like when you have a movie, right? You were watching and you're listening to it. So a movie is 50% sound, 50% audio. But a lot of times people put emphasis on the video aspect and not enough on the audio aspect. So they always say the movie is 50% video, 50% audio. I will argue it's 60 audio, 40 video, because when you're watching a movie, I think I mentioned before, like you can get through a bad looking movie, so to speak. Like if it's kind of blurry or the colors aren't all that, you can get through it, right? But if it sounds bad and you're hearing like scratchiness or the audio, you ever watch a movie and like the voice doesn't match the audio and it's like you can't even watch it because it just throws you off, or if it's like super scratchy or super loud, it's horrible. So audio is, in my opinion, a little bit more important than video. And a lot of movie sets and small productions, they don't invest a lot of money in audio, which they should, because that'll make or break the film. Like having a movie with great audio or having a good sound team or sound guy or sound girl will literally change your film up. So I knew when I was like making my film, I was like, I'm gonna have a good camera, but I gotta have somebody who's good with audio because that is so important. And Netflix knows this too. That's why if you're ever watching Netflix or Hulu and you're like in like a weird Wi-Fi area, it reduces the video quality before it reduces the audio quality, because the audio is just, you can't get through a movie without having, pretty decent audio. So audio is so important and it gets overlooked by video, but I think it's more important.
This process is overseen by the ADR editor. Additional voices may be created by a loop, a collection of actors who will provide crowd noise to scenes with extras. Dubbing may also take place with actors recording over dialogue in another language for foreign distribution. Additional sound effects, meanwhile, will be created by Foley artists who perform live to create specific effects that can't be found in a sound bank.
With that, so I'll just stop here. It's almost 6. But next week, because I don't think you guys come tomorrow. I think that's the next group. So just show you what's on the agenda. So next week we're just gonna go a little bit more into CapCut. And I would like, for everybody to have their idea, or at least an idea what they want to do as a video, just so we can have that idea going and start to work with it. But yeah, next week talk about green screen, some effects, transitions, yeah, a little bit more into CapCut. But yeah, that's basically it for today. Elaine's coming in at 6, so if there's no questions, I'll just have this video play until she comes in, and yeah, we can go from there. So,
How AI optimizes my schedule. This meeting got canceled. Hooray! We didn't really want. Sure.
For most films, the addition of music is another large task within post-production sound. The composer is in charge of both writing the score and overseeing its creation. typically working closely with the director to hear what their vision is.
If it will be convenient to go into the call. Yeah.
Rene Boschio explains.
Composer is kind of like the head of department, basically, when you're the one in charge of the original score. So it's like conversations with the directors and the producers and whatever it takes, whatever you have to subtract or whatever it is. You're like the head of department, you're in charge of executing the filmmaker's vision from start to finish when it comes to the originals.
Composers are often also the conductors who take the written music and guide the musicians through the recording process. This isn't always the case, however.
A lot of the times composers also prefer to just be in the booth and able to hear the recording in context with everything else from a producer perspective. So in that case, they'll probably hire somebody that's they could just take a step back and be the ears and more of like the producer of the recording, if you will.
The music supervisor, meanwhile, helps find and obtain pre-existing music for movies.
They can be involved as early on as brainstorming phase and pitching songs to directors or being like, hey, what about this song? What about that song? What about X song for this scene? If a director already has the songs and they're already cut into the edit, they may just have to handle the clearances and licensing for those songs, the fees for the individual song and all that.
And, for example, works closely with Wes Anderson to find and clear the many iconic needle drops in his film. The music editor go between the director, composer, music supervisor, and editor, making sure each party is on the same page, understanding what is needed and for how long.
Typically, they are hired through production because they are technically part of the editorial team and they are in the editor's guild and everything. But more often than not, composers will try to bring on their own music editor into the job because it's such a tight-knit relationship.
All right. So that's it for video editing today. I'll let C.L.I.C.K take over. But yeah, so think about that project idea, and then we'll meet back up next week. Save automatic. But like you mean like save? So are you done, or you want to come back to it? So yeah, save it and remember what computer you're on. It's saved on the phone. You can back out. Are you okay with that? Yeah, it's saving off. Just know what computer you got. Someone with, you know, it's saved on a computer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. So, before we get started, does anyone know what important day is tomorrow? Election day. Yeah, how do we feel about it? Any thoughts, feelings, concerns? I'm sorry? You think they're both garbage? Okay, why do you say that? Okay, you think that's it? Now your vote is your own private decision, your private personal decision. So everyone has a right to their own opinion, but I am voting for Kamala. Uh, I'm not going back. Is this your first election? Your first. That's the start. That's very important. In what? You're 20. And did you vote already, or are you going tomorrow? You voted yesterday. Good. Early vote. Get it out of the way. Yes. So I have not had the opportunity to early vote because my ward, the line was at least an hour and a half long every time I went. So I did not early vote yet, but yeah, I'll be voting tomorrow. The polls open at 6 o'clock and close at 7 p.m. So very important election. Very important election. Any other thoughts? Anyone into politics? Are there anybody in your family into politics at all? Yeah? Who? You have your uncle's into politics? And what are his thoughts? Oh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. All right. And he's in the south suburbs. He lives in the south suburbs in Indiana. And Indiana is a traditionally Republican state. It's a red state, right? Oh, okay, okay. Well, now that we have politics out the way, um, I know most of you or none of you are of age to vote, but when you do become of age, it is your civic duty. It's a right that you should not take lightly. I know we oftentimes think that politics really don't affect change, but they do. The presidential election is important, but also your local legislators. When you're thinking about, you know, crime in your neighborhood or potholes in the street or um, things like local initiatives that comes from your local legislators. So pay attention to the judges that you may be voting on. I think this time around it's upwards of 20 judges on the ballot. So things like that are also equally as important as the presidential election, or maybe even more so to you because they have a direct effect on your everyday life, more of a direct effect on your everyday life, right? Okay, okay. So did anybody have any questions from our last session? We kind of did an overview of esports and the law, but today we'll go over intellectual property, specifically copyrights. Does anyone know what copyrights mean? Yeah. Okay, what are copyrights? Mhm. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It's a way to protect something that you have created. So it's a legal protection for something that you have created. We talked last time a little bit about intellectual property, but we'll go into depth this week. So there are three common areas of intellectual property or intellectual property in gaming that affects gaming, and that's copyrights, patents, and trademarks. three separate ways to protect your individual developments and creations, but they all protect them in different ways. And so as we continue through the course, today we'll talk more about copyrights. We'll go through patents next week, and we'll go through trademarks the week after. Then after that, we'll have a short quiz to see if you can identify if something is a copyright, a patent, or a trade. Right? Hold on. What's it not doing? Well, let's see what I did. Let me share this too. Oh no, it's not. Let's figure out what my songs going about. Okay, copyright. A protection for intellectual property that gives the exclusive right to an author or an authors of a creative work, right? A video game may be protected as a creative work. The length of your copyright can differ depending on what country you get your product copyright in. And there may be specific exceptions like the fair use doctrine, which we will go over in this course. Gaming or a game is both a creative and a technical product, and intellectual property protects both aspects. So when I talk about the different kinds of intellectual property, we'll go over what kind of your more technical or your coding creations, how they can be protected, your versus things that you can kind of identify with visually, like maybe your logos, which will blend into more of your trademark protections. So how does it work? So once you publish an original work, it's technically your copyright. What does that original work include? I say original, but when I say original, I really want you to think unique, not something that is closely related to or similar to something that's already been published, but try to find the most unique aspects of your creative mind. And those are the things we want to copyright because those are the things we can guarantee that are our own. And when you think of maybe a unique concept, can you think of a video game or a concept that's so unique that no other video game has it? Really think about anything. It could be, or maybe the first game that had something that no other game had. I'm sorry, Fortnite. So what about Fortnite do you think is unique that no other game had when it first came out? The buildings in Fortnite, right? The way that they build or how you go in and out. I think Roblox has kind of a concept that's unique and different than anything that you've ever seen. These things are aspects of your original works that you could likely copyright. It could be an art choice, right? A specific character to a degree, right? There's only one Mario and Luigi, right? And you think of other characters like Mickey Mouse was copyright for a really long time, under copyright protections for a really long time. A part of your code. So it may or may not qualify for copyright, but it might be protected under patent, right? Your original music. I know you guys hear this all the time. You're on social media in order to like play music in the background or something. Remember when Facebook used to have you put, I don't own the rights to this copyright, or I don't own the rights to this music. It was protecting the musical copyright. That means that it's giving you permission to use the music because you are saying it is not my original work. Because technically, you might have to license the use of that music. That means pay the original creator to use that music. That's what happens when you hear people sampling beats or sampling uh, lyrics. If you can, I mean, you might see that a lot, especially beats, right? We see that a lot now. Uh, that means that that artist had to get the permission to use that beat, and then they had to pay for it. It's not just free. So if you hear a sample by Cardi B today, and she's using someone else's music, whoever owned that original beat, she had to get clearance, and then so on and so forth. So if someone else wants to sample some of Cardi B's work, the same process applies. They have to pay for that. They have to ask for permission, or they cannot use it. And if they use the music without asking for permission, what happens? They can get sued. Yep, for copyright infringement. That's what we call that, copyright infringement. You end up getting sued. And the damages can be immense, right? We're talking about multi-million dollars sometimes. If you use someone else's product and it blows up and you're making all of this money, not only are you limiting their use of it, maybe they can say you've harmed their product because now it's not selling as much as it would have, and you're making all of this money. And so they will likely argue that you owe them the money that you've earned off of sampling their beat, plus more because you potentially caused them to lose money. So really think about that when you're creating your own video games and your coding and your music. I know you guys do a lot of music and stuff in this class too. If that happens, you want to copyright it, or if you have an original creation and you want to put it on Snapchat or social media or YouTube, think about ways that you may want to protect your music, and we'll talk about it. Protect your developments so that no one else can take it from you and start making money off of it. Okay. Your specific storyline might be something that you could copyright, but not general things. So when you start to think about, here are some examples, right? A hero saving a princess from a dragon. When you think about an idea where you have a princess in mind, what else would you likely have in this in the video or in the game? If you have a princess, is there anything else that you think the audience needs to see so that they know that this is the story about a prince and a princess? What else comes to mind that you would likely have to set that scene? A castle. Bam, there you go. Could you copyright a castle? No, too general of a concept, right? Maybe a dragon. Copyright a dragon? No. When you think about, let's say your story or your plot is taking place in space. What are some aspects of that you might need to include in your game so that your general audience knows that this is happening in space? Planets. Can you copyright those? Absolutely not. Stars, a rocket ship. No, all of those things are things that you may use to generally realize your theme or your concept. Won't be able to be copyrights, but specific things, like the example says, right? Almost orphaned Harry Potter going to a school called Hogwarts. Have we ever seen that before, right? That was kind of the first time to see the whole concept of Hogwarts and Harry Potter and this wizarding world. Now they do have, you know, Percy Jones. They do have other types of storylines, but that plot was a little more specific, and that's the storyline that could be maintained through a copyright. These items are yours because they're unique to you. You created them, and you want to find the best way to protect them by law. So the first thing that you want to do in your plight to copyright your own material is provide notice. When you provide notice, you are giving the world, putting the world on notice that you consider this your original work of art and it belongs to you. That prevents people from trying to infringe on your copyright. That notice should be placed in a prominent place on your work and must include these 3 elements. So that little copyright symbol, have you seen that on different products before? You could probably, any when you're looking at a song, or you're looking at the credits to anything, you're looking at a CD, I guess y'all don't have those anymore, but they're all going to have like that copyright symbol because it belongs to someone. You want the year the work was first published and the author's name. So your name or whatever name you want to go by, you want to include all of this information on your notice so it's clear if it ever comes to a court of law that this is your product, this is your property, you own it, you were the first to own it, you're claiming rights to this, right? Yeah. Now you should also formally register your work. It's important to formally register your work because once you have it registered, then you can sue someone for infringement if someone else is using your work. That is an entire process, and we'll go through, we'll look at the registration process so you can see kind of how it looks. It could be a lengthy process. It's not necessarily an inexpensive or cheap process. But what you want to think about, one, is hiring an attorney who specializes in intellectual property to help you through this process. And although it's not cheap or free, think about it long term when it's something that really kind of blows up and it's worth a whole lot of money. Paying, $500, $1,000, whatever it costs to get it protected would be worth it down the line if we're talking about a multi-million-dollar product, right? So there are places that you can go and get assistance if you can't afford it, but intellectual property attorneys do exist in the world, and they exist for that reason because people want to make sure that they have their rights protected. So this, to formally register your work, provides a public record of your copyright claim, allows you to bring an infringement claim in court. If a registration is made within 5 years after your work's publication, the court will presume the copyright is valid and the statements made are true. That means you don't have to prove it on your registration. You can simply state, this is mine. I created it within the last year or last 5 years, and they'll presume that it's true. That doesn't mean that someone else cannot argue that they had it first. That's why notice is very important. If you have a year on your notice, if you have your name and you have that copyright symbol, it's easier for you to say, hey, this was mine first, I own this. So what do you think happens if you co-own something? And yeah, what happens if you work together with your friend or a group of friends and you both create something? What do you think you should do in those cases? Because who's the owner? All of you are the owner. Yeah. So how do you prove it? You can put multiple names on the copyright. It could be multiple authors. What? Anything else? What do you think? Contract. You can have a contractual obligation, right? You can all sign off that we own 1/5 of this, or we all own it equally, whatever that looks like. This is our product. We created it on this date and time. We all own it, and therefore we all share the proceeds. It may not be equal. It may be, there maybe one person did more work than the other. And you have to decide amongst yourself who has more rights to this. And that's also fine and fair, right? Somebody could, you see this happens all the time. A lot of collaborations that may make sense could be a book, right? Someone is writing the words, but you have a separate illustrator. And they both have ownership rights. Both of their names are going to be printed in this book, but how much could differ depending on, whatever tools they use. If it's mainly a picture book with a couple of words, do you think the illustrator should get more or less? Have more or less ownership rights if they have if the book is mainly about the pictures that they created? They might have more, whereas the author may have a little less. It depends on whatever you decide as a collective, what makes sense. But if you have it written in a contract, then you can, protect your work, and you save yourself a lot of time at court. Again, it doesn't mean that you cannot go to court and argue something different. That happens all the time. But at least there are some protections already in place. I'll show you. What the website looks like. Let's see. Any questions? Have any of you, you're likely too young to sign a contract, you should be 18 years of age. Have you ever heard that before? You need to be 18 years of older to sign a contract? Yeah. And so if you can't sign the contract, then what happens? Yeah, your parent has to on your behalf. So we talked about a little bit the lifetime of a copyright. So in the United States, depending on when your work was created, that determines how long your copyright lasts. So if your work was created after January 1st, 1978, the copyright would last for the life of the author plus 70 years. So anything that you do today, right? Because obviously it was after 1978, your copyright would last for your entire lifetime plus an additional 70 years. The benefit of that is when you pass away, your heirs have a right to own or to benefit from the proceeds of anything that you've created. And these are ways that we start to create things like generational wealth, right? You can pass this down to your heir, and then they will have a right to it, which means they could sue on your behalf if someone else is infringing on that copyright. They are entitled to all the proceeds or any money that you will be receiving based on this particular idea or creative work. If it is anonymous or like made for hire, in which you will see, sometimes you may be contracted out as a developer or a creator to create something for someone else, then that copyright will last for 95 years from the first publication date. So when you start to publicize or publish your work and you put it out there, we're going to have notice, right? So we have our name, we have our date, the year that it was created. So from that date, you have 95 years or 120 years from the date of the creation, whichever comes first. Again, if you had something for, a really long time and you didn't publish it, and then you published it later, but it was created 50 years ago, then you may only have 120 total years, whichever comes first. A joint work, just like we talked about. Oh, no, I'm just talking about it. Yeah, I'm just talking. Yeah. I'm going to show you the website in a second, but this is not in my slide. So a joint work will last about 70 years after the death of the surviving author. So if 2, 3, 4, 5 of you own it after the last surviving author, then it'll last 70 years after that. But any work created before 1978, the copyright will last for 95 years from the publication date. So you only had 95 years total, which is why Mickey Mouse, the original Steamboat Mickey Mouse, lost its copyright. Yeah. If you had anything before 1978 and it lasted 95 years, you do have a one-time opportunity to renew it for 28 more years. So it can last an extended period. Let me go to this thing. Um, let me share. Okay. Now this. So this is the website that you would go to in order to register your copyright. Share it here. You see they have information in both English and Spanish. It's going to give you an idea of what is a copyright, reference page, opportunities. But what's most important is likely going to be your help page. They have online registration help. And what I send people to are tutorials. Because these tutorials will help you learn how to register your work, how long it takes, what it looks like. It's kind of a step-by-step process, how much it costs. And they have a bunch of short videos. Let's see. Here are the different types of works that you could register, right? A literary work, which just could be like Dr. Nance has a copyright for his trauma curriculum, right? That's his. He created it. He owns it. You cannot teach that curriculum without getting his permission to do so. You would, or he could sue you to do that if you did that. So even when you think about things like, you know, a book or an idea, it's more than just a video game or some of our more common ideas that we might think are like common knowledge. Your coursework or your, you know, your textbook is going to be a copyrighted product because someone researched and created it, compiled it, and put it into this body of work. Performing arts, visual arts, other digital content. We are in an age where digital content is becoming more and more popular. Everything that you see, almost everything comes in some form of online or digital content. And so when you are creating these things and developing these works, you can have the copyright. Motion pictures and photographs. There's a famous image of Emmett Till in the casket. And so his face is, you know, obviously this is after his body had been pulled out of a body of water, brought back to Chicago. His body is blown up. He'd been in water, submerged for a while. He's battered and bruised. This particular photograph is owned by, let me get it right, the longest publication, hold on. Let me bring it, let me find it. A newspaper here in Chicago, actually, the oldest African-American newspaper. Chicago Defender. So that image is owned by the Chicago Defender. Have you ever heard of the Chicago Defender? So the Chicago Defender is the longest oldest African American newspaper publication in Chicagoland area. They own that image. And so one thing that they used to do, I worked there for a short stint, they would have us to protect their copyright. We would literally search the internet for images of Emmett Till, this popular image of Emmett Till, because in order to use it, you had to ask them for a license to do so. You had to pay them to do that. Although it seems like a very popular image that anyone can use, they own the rights to it and they can sue you for your use of it. So when you think about, I mean, almost anything could be protected through your copyright. And that's one of the other things. You'll see that on motion pictures all the time as well. You know, the copyright the signature. And you can't just, you know, show a motion picture in a theater without being licensed to do so, receiving that those permissions. My cursor. So what cannot be become part of your copyright? We talked about it. Something called seems of fair. It's a French phrase that refers to the elements that are needed to realize a specific idea. There you go. Even more specific, if it's a racing game, you need a car or a racetrack. Those things are not unique or individual. They cannot become part of your copyright. So we're going to talk a little bit. I'll show you a short video on how YouTube has supported its content and ensuring that if you are in fact showing content that is copyright protected, what happens to you? Has anyone ever gotten in trouble showing YouTube videos and they told you it was a copyright protected? Yeah. So, yeah, you can lose your after so many times. It doesn't happen the first time. You can get a warning. You can go to YouTube jail and they'll shut you down for a period of time. And then the more you get, the more likely it is that they will cancel your channel altogether. Again, because although YouTube is a free form and they show all types of videos, they will not allow you to infringe on someone else's copyright protections because it puts them at risk. So anytime you're a conduit to kind of, yeah, you could. But if it's yours, that's fine. If you're showing someone else's video, let's say you have a video that became very popular and you own the rights to that video, someone else took it and started showing that video as theirs, would you want them to do that? Because what happens, what's the benefit of having a very popular video on YouTube? Can anyone think of a benefit? Thousands of subscribers, but what comes with that? Money, exactly. So not just from YouTube, you might get paid from YouTube if you have a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of clicks. But now it becomes ideal for, let's say, if it's a video game or if it's a drink or another type of company who may want to tap into the audience that you already have, they might sponsor you or they might pay you to show for you to show their videos on your channel because they know you have millions of followers. We kind of saw that the last time when we were talking about the popular gamer. Can't remember his name. When we were talking about the popular gamer, the last class, we know that if you have high popularity on these channels, it's more like Twitch or YouTube, then you may be able to get sponsorships and secure other types of compensation. So just think about if it's your own creative art or your creative work and someone takes it from you, would you want them to then present it as their own? It become very popular, people paying them for it when in fact you are the creator of that. So YouTube, it's in their best interest to ensure that this doesn't happen because they want to minimize their risk. They don't want you suing them because they have deep pockets, right? We know they have a whole lot of money. So it's in their best interest to help you protect your copyright. And they have this little funny little video. Or knows. Let me show you.
Enough pot.
On the YouTube copyright page. So, if you're watching, hey everybody. Okay, you're here on the YouTube copyright page. So, if you're watching this, probably you're having problems with your video getting taken down, or you think someone else uploaded your video.
Stop the video.
Mario, we can't stop. YouTube hired us to make this video.
The video is being stolen and re-uploaded right now.
Here we are on YouTube, where everybody's uploading videos. If you create original content, you're protected by copyright. If you upload content you took from someone else, they're protected by copyright.
Yeah? Copyright is not doing crap. YouTube hired us to make this video and it has just been stolen. I'm going to tell the big wigs at YouTube that we should be fired.
You know there's links on this page that could help you, right? You don't have to watch this.
Fred, we're doing a horrible job. Some jerkface has stolen a copyright video. Fire me, Fred!
Mario, don't panic. YouTube has a copyright takedown process to protect content owners. If your original work is uploaded by someone else without permission, you can send us a copyright infringement notice and we'll take care of it.
Gonna take you down. This is a takedown notification. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by Golden Boots. Heritage!
Okay, problem solved. And now for something amazing that has nothing to do with what we've been talking about. Hey! What's your problem? I know it's your video. That's why we paid you for a license to use it. Okay, I'll go let them.
This video contains content from Gorilla, who has blocked it on copyright gold. What the hell is that?
Looks like a content ID claim just blocked our video.
What? Fred, we showed Gorilla's video and this head blocked it. Fire me!
That's the content ID head. He's just doing his job.
He hates me.
He doesn't hate you, Mario. Content ID is triggered automatically when a YouTube video includes audio or video that's been claimed by another copyright owner.
Crap.
Well, in this case, I think you're fine. I think we gave you money to clear the rights to that video. If so, you can file a dispute.
Did we give Gorilla money for his video, Papa?
Yeah, I did. I swear.
Okay, we're good. What is dispute?
A dispute is a way to challenge the accuracy of a content ID match. You can learn more about it and start the process in your YouTube Video Manager.
I don't understand.
Well, there's two ways that a video can get blocked or taken down for copyright reasons on YouTube. One is a takedown notice. The other one is a content ID match.
Wait, aren't those the same thing?
No, they're not the same thing. If you want to know more, read this article before you go to your Video Manager.
This is boring.
Yeah, I know.
The video is the worst.
This video is doing great. People are re-uploading it everywhere. This video re-uploading it everywhere. People re-uploading everything. Thanks for reviewing video. Why is video doing so great? Reason A, Tiny Superman. Reason B, Scary Monkey Picture.
I think this video is crappy. Look at that crappy red guy. He's not even wearing any pants. Crappy? He cannot say that I am crappy. I will take down notification his video.
Mario, that's his video. He'll just send you a counter notification. Copyright don't work like that.
This is not fair.
Nope. This is fair use. Copyright has a concept called fair use that allows people to comment on or remix or criticize your video.
Screw fair use. I'm sending him a takedown notification anyway.
No, wait!
David, I want to take down a video that is making fun of me.
Mario, you can't go around censoring people who are commenting on or criticizing your video. Copyright law leaves room for commentary, criticism, parody, and other transformative uses. You can get in a lot of trouble for ignoring that. Wait a minute, what are you doing?
This is great stuff. I am putting it in the video. This video is getting amazing.
But the video's over. All we gotta do is tell people there are links down there to help them.
But what about all that footage we shot before this video got all preachy and boring? That was amazing!
Mhm.
Now let's show the scene where the T-Rex eats the lawyer on the toilet.
From Jurassic Park? We can't show that. You didn't learn anything.
Shut up! Cue Jurassic Park! This video is no longer available due to copyright claim by the people who have footage of the T-Rex eating the lawyer while the lawyer is sitting on the toilet. Fred, is this a nap pod? Fred, are you napping?
He said, all right. Let's see. All right, class, good evening. My name is Aaron Singleton, and this is Intro to Music Production. And today's going to be a pretty easy lecture. Today, we're going to talk about audio quality and production construction, right? So audio quality is a very important thing once you get into making beats, like once you're getting started making music, right? So let's get started. So audio interfaces, right? Like, what are audio interfaces? Why they are needed, right? So audio interfaces, it helps convert microphone and instrument signals into a format your computer and software recognizes. The interface also routes audio from your computer to your headphones and studio monitors. They can also be used for MIDI controllers like keyboards and NPCs. It can also be used for electric guitars and bass. So I have a picture right here of an audio interface. This is a Foresight Scarlett 212. It's one of the best interfaces that you can buy affordably. I have this actually at home. Um, these two inputs right here are like for very high quality studio microphones or headphones, right? Because you have input and output. Uh, you can use this input right here, but you won't get the best quality that you could get with like your bigger, like some Sony studio monitor heads. The reason why you would use this is because sometimes your desktops and your laptops won't be equipped to handle all of the music or all of the data that's coming from certain programs. So, for example, like with FL Studio, so your laptop or your PC won't crash, you would use something like this, right? This also comes in handy when you're doing something in Pro Tools, when you're doing some mixing, mastering in Pro Tools, when you want to record yourself, or with any other recording program, you would use an audio interface. That definitely comes in handy. Now, this one right here costs like around $250, but you can get smaller versions that will be more affordable. I have an audio box at home that I bought when I bought what 5, 6 years ago. It was like $75. And it did what it needs to do. I was able to go ahead and hook it up. I can use my headphones, my high quality studio headphones. I can use certain instruments that I need to. Everything can go to my audio box that I needed to do. Right, it's not going to have all the bells and whistles like this would, but it has enough to where I can get by. Um, and then it goes right to my next point, your monitors and your headphones, right? So studio monitors are loudspeakers and it's loudspeakers and speaker enclosures specifically designed for professional audio production applications. Primary function of studio monitors is to produce a flat frequency response, allowing recordings to be played back exactly as intended without any coloration or alteration. So when you listen to music, right, when you open up Apple Music or Spotify or whatever you listen to, you're listening to music that have been mixed and then mastered so it sounds really good, sounds clear. For example, at home, I have a deck stack at home. I'm an audiophile. I collect vinyl records because they sound better. So I have my little setup. I have my headphones that I spent $350 on. I have my DAC set that I probably spent four. I have an angry wife at home when I spend money like that. But it sounds great. The music sounds great. It sounds like I'm in the studio with them when they recorded it, right? The same thing you kind of want when you make your music. You want to be able to have a flat frequency. It sounds how you record it. And then once you take it to a sound engineer so they can mix and master, they will add all the bells and whistles. But first, you want to make sure that at least all your instruments are not, they're not overpowering each other. Most likely will be your 808 because it's pretty powerful. You don't want that to overpower all your other sounds, right? You want everything on the flat sound. So in order to get that, you have to spend some money to get some studio monitors or speakers or some really good headphones. We have a pair of headphones here that I'm gonna show you guys. No. Okay, that's one. All right. I don't have the headphones next walk in the office, but these are the Sony MDR7 506. These are some of the best on studio professional. These are blue lamps. Also have the red lamps that are very, very cool. Like both the USB Suzy Pen, they have the they're great. Yeah, flat. And now power like beats. Beat headphones are great for play. We can listen to music, clean it around the house, whatever. Beat headphones are good. So that the issue with beat headphones is kind of the loneliness. So you have your highs, and your lows. Beats have a very low end sound. So your lows would be like your bass sounds, like 808s, drum kicks, sub basses. That's why it sounds like it kind of like shaking. And you get like cheap beat, up something you want to listen to, you have a lot of bass. Those are good for your lungs. You want something that's in the middle for both, and those will be perfect. They're also open ear in the back because your ear is a muscle. So you need air to get to your ear, so you can process all the music. The headphones I have at home, I have some syntax these really great headphones. They're over the ear, they're over the back, so I can hear everything still like going in my house. And also I have air going into my ears, so just for the information. I can hear things that's with ear. For example, how many of you all listen to music on YouTube? To a lot of people. It's compressed, right? They compress all of that music so fast, so it sounds up. You're not hearing everything in the beat, right? For example, I did this with my wife. My wife listens to music on YouTube Music. Nothing wrong with that. I think YouTube Premium, so I get YouTube Music Premium today. Like the issue is she listens to horrible quality music, and it drives me crazy. So I'm like, we go play this on YouTube Music, then we play it Apple Music on Stack that, right? We did that, and she able to hear background vocals that she never heard on Apple Music to compare it to YouTube. It was a Mary J. Blige song. They like pasted background vocals. She didn't hear that on YouTube. So audio quality is very, very important. I'm definitely for audio. Loneliness is not cool. Like I said, beats are okay, but they're not good for making music because everything will be happening. Everything will be happening in your lung. Opposite can happen for your high end. If you go too cheap with headphones, you won't got to worry about loneliness, but it'll be your highs. Your high will be very high. So a lot of just loudness, like also like twitchiness, kind of sound like little nails, scratching the chalkboard. It sounds horrible. So you don't want to go that cheap. You want to go somewhere in the middle. These right here, usually on Amazon, they go for like 175. Sometimes you catch them on sale for 150. But they're really great. Something like these right here, the headphones you press shouldn't be good either because they also just very focused. Well, they have a lot of things looking for, right? Plush, comfortable for your ear. Um, they do have a decent high end, but they are very, very basic, low end, bass heavy headphones. These and it's some other headphones, some AKG 212, no, some AKG 5Gs. I'm gonna show an example real quick. AKG 52s right here. I actually had a pair of these. These are closed back, but they give you that good stereo sound, like studio sound you're looking for. Let me move this out the way. You also have some Sennheisers that you can get. These right here, the 5A Jubilees. You see the back of them are open. They're open, so it let a lot of air get to your ear because your ear is a muscle, and you need to allow your ear to breathe so it can hear all the music. So these right here, the HD 558Xs, these are really good headphones. And then you can also get, of course, the Sony headphones. These right here are the ones right here, the 7506s right here. And then you have the red label, which I can show you right now. These right here, digital. These are used in all studios. That's not working. My bad. Yeah, these right here, these are the Sony MDRs right here. These are really good headphones. Like see, they like 138, so they're not too expensive. And then you have the Sennheisers that I like a lot. You see, these are open back. These have a plus covering so they can rest on your ear, so they won't be too heavy. Because you may have these headphones on for an hour or two at a time. So you want something that's also comfortable, right? You want to be comfortable in your ear. You don't want it to be too heavy. Um, so these are like my favorite. These are the picks that I would tell you to choose. Uh, but you have your AKGs too. These are really good. These don't have an open back design, but they have drivers within the headphones. They give you that same good sound. You probably have to take them off like after like 30 minutes, let your ear breathe on rest, all of that. And then you have, of course, the red labels. Move this out the way. And then you have, of course, the blue ones. That's great. $98 right now. Really good headphones. Another thing I do want to talk to you about is your ears, okay? Because that produces. You may work on beats for hours at a time. You may be for hours. You work on over the day. You work on all day. You need to rest your ears because your ears are muscle. People don't realize when their ears are tired, but some of the telltale signs are everything sounds the same. Like when you turn music up, especially like the headphones, it doesn't get louder. It stays at a point your ears tired. So that if your body's you see your ears in bed, perfectly no TV on, no music on, TV. Have it on mute. Just let your ears just relax. Be comfortable. For example, me, I went to a studio session and I'm wondering why my music when I turn it up in my headphones when I got it on high, I'm thinking I'm going deaf. And then tell me, hey, the ears are tired. Just chill out for a second. So always be comfortable, listen to your body and listen to your ear. If you don't want to go deaf, because you can go deaf, I just steady turn up music, crank it up. It is not getting louder. Your ears will, get tired and they will eventually go deaf. So when you do go to sleep and you do wake up and your ear is still not covering because it's still cranking. So you don't want to crank up music too much and you want to just rest your ears. Let's get back to this PowerPoint. Uh, The video. Yeah, I do have a video right here explaining about studio monitors. This video is going to explain to you about a lot of technical stuff, but I will break that down so you can understand what they're talking about, and then we will go from there. Finish with the PowerPoint, and then what time is it? By like 7:25, I'm gonna let y'all work on y'all music until it's time to. I'm gonna play this video.
Yeah, I just
Let me just there.
today we're going to be talking about how to choose the right monitor for your space. Well, this is kind of a touchy subject, the one that we will attempt to cover as thoroughly as possible. So many know there are a lot of factors that go into choosing the right studio, whether it's fidelity, SPL, low-end extension, connectivity, features, and sometimes budget. While it would be ideal to put your room dimensions into a formula that calculates one single suggestion, it wouldn't be doing service to a lot of the different use cases. There are many more factors to consider, which may vary from person to person or from room to room. Today, we are going to look at just 3 of these factors: the speaker's fidelity, the achievable maximum SPL, and the listening distance. We would like to show you a certain way of looking at it to effectively help you with the thought process of deciding what monitors might be best for you in your space. We try to be as thorough as possible without getting too far into the weeds, because we know a lot of us aren't necessarily working in the best studio environment. Well, great, which is the most important. So without further ado, let's get started. To start, let's put 3 factors at the core points of each frame. Let's look at 2 extreme examples to see how this works. The S5H main monitor, a flagship speaker from our S series, and the T5B near-field monitor, from a more popular and more affordable T series. The S5H is able to give you extremely high fidelity and very high maximum SPL, 131 dB, allowing you to have a very large listening distance as they are designed and equipped for main monitor applications. With this particular speaker, you could satisfy very high requirements, which are pretty much at the ends of each different scale. The T5B, however, which is designed as a near-field monitor, has significantly less maximum SPL, lower overall fidelity, and a certain limit to the max distance that you should be away from your monitors when listening. These 3 factors may seem pretty much independent from each other. For a specific speaker, they are not. The given value for maximum SPL, for example, is usually referring to a distance of 1 meter, around 3 feet. When you as a listener move away from the speaker further than that, the maximum SPL achievable at your listening position will be low. Doubling the distance will cost you around 5 dB in an average. Also, pushing the speaker to the very edge of its output capability comes with relative loss in fidelity. So choosing a speaker that delivers the monitoring level you expect, plus a little more headroom, will ultimately give you better. You may, however, decide to sacrifice a good performance in one of these aspects and even better performance in another factor with the same speaker. Your specific use case and requirements can be drawn out in the same time. So you have to ask yourself, what level of fidelity and audio quality do I need? What levels do I like to monitor, and how much more headroom do I need? What is the size of the stereo triangle that I can fit in my room, given the the many monitoring solutions in our T-AX series meant to serve applications in between the 2 extreme examples we have just shown. As you can see on the fidelity axis of our graph, we have all 3 series of monitors. The S series reaching up the furthest in terms of fidelity, followed by the AX and the T series. Neither the T5B, T7B, T8B can surpass this fidelity thresholds in any setting. However, the larger you go, let's say from the T5B to the T8B, you can achieve higher maximum SPL, which comes with the option to monitor with your speakers further away without having to compromise too much with your monitoring level. Let's go through a couple more examples. The A77X delivers high fidelity and allows for a relatively large listening distance with high max SPL, 122 dB. Let's see further, the A7X have the same fidelity, lower maximum SPL, and therefore lends itself for a shorter listening distance. Let's take another look at the A7X, which maybe fits most of the requirements in your use case, but you want to get a little bit more monitoring level out of your speakers.
which, as I said earlier, have a fixed max SPL. In this case, you may decide to solve for a little short listening distance to gain a higher maximum monitoring. Another way to increase the fidelity with a max SPL in this case might be to add a subwoofer like the C.L.I.C.K. The ultimate goal is to find the best match of all three of these factors. You may find for a certain budget, you may have to trade off one for another. And as a general rule of thumb, the higher your budget, the less compromises you have to make. Again, this is far from hard and fast. We do think it's a good starting place to come start thinking about what monitors might be best for your space. Obviously, there are more factors that we discussed earlier, like budget and features. But for this video, we wanted to focus just on some of the capabilities. Again, you can find out more about the different features between the series and the video. As always, if you have questions about your specific room, you can reach out to us at Adam Audio directly or leave your questions down in the comments. If you guys found this video informative, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. We'll see you guys next. All right, I know that was a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, so I'm going to put it in some better words. Pretty much what he's saying is that you want to have speakers that is, you want to have the two big speakers and then crowd your room. And you want to have some small speakers because you won't hear everything. So pretty much when you look for speakers, look for something that's relatively fierce. For a room like this, you probably get some bigger KRKs that fill the space and hear the high end, hear your mids, and it's not too overpowering for this room. The Bluetooth speaker that I have is a bit too small for this room. Yes, you can hear the bass and you can hear the low, you can hear the music, but you couldn't really hear everything that beat has off. A perfect example of some monitor that you should buy that fit in most applications that be in your home. So your bedroom, your basement, something like that, would be these KRKs. These right here. These are headphones that are so for a pair they running right now on Amazon $335. But these are headphones that you've probably seen a lot of places, right? It's got the tweeters for the singing, it got the of course the speaker itself for everything your home is. But these are perfect speakers for your room. They're not too powerful, they're not too small. You look at them, they're going to be small, but because of how they're built and because they're vented. So just like your ears, your speakers, it's all that data can breathe. It's not going to break anything like that. Great head. I have a pair of these at home. Actually, a lot of people I know have these exact pairs. So these are perfect headphones. Using something like Bluetooth speakers or computer speakers itself, they're fine, but they're not perfect because you're not going to hear, especially with Bluetooth. And the same thing with headphones. With Bluetooth, you're going to lose a lot of stuff on the set. You're not going to be able to get everything that you produce with Bluetooth. They think you, but you're not. That's why Bluetooth headphones are not a viable option right now. I'm like, hey, look at these headphones. I do have a pair of Bluetooth headphones. They're great, but I don't use them. Same thing with speakers. I have a pair of Bluetooth speakers at home for like even where I play my video games on, but I don't use those for video games. I use these strictly for producing. So same thing with your headphones. So these are probably the only pair that I would recommend because they're so versatile. Take them into like your bedroom. You can take them into your basement. You can take them with you to other people's rooms, and they will all fit. They'll all perform the same. Let's wrap up this PowerPoint. I know I have one more slide left, and that will be production construction. It's literally just one slide after this. So what is production construction, right? So production construction is when you start a beat from the beginning to a finished product. You decide when the beat is complete. When you collaborate with people, with an artist, you both have to agree that the beat is completed to both of your liking. These can be crazy drums and crazy complex, or they can be simple as a drum break or a loop sample. When you make beats, it's up to you of how you want your beat to sound. What is your finished product, right? In the music world, we have heard crazy complex beats like a Kanye West with all the lights or something like that. But in the same breath, we have heard beats made with just literally just a drum loop, a single break, play over and over again, and it fits. The ideas that I wanted with this is that it's up to you when your beat is done, right? You can have, like I said, a drum loop, something like this. Actually, let me do a real quick demonstration. All right, let's see. Nope, not that one. Yes. Mhm. All I did was just take a sample from a Stevie Wonder song and I literally just played it. I let it loop and I just put drums on. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna do to that beat. I may add some more drums. I may add some do some post production to it for the most part. Other than that, that's all I did. So it can be simple as that. I could just take the drums out and just let that loop just play, and that could be a finished product, right? It's up to you. And that's the idea of production construction. It's up to you of how you want your beat to be made. Um, that's the end of the lecture. So for the rest of class, what I would like you to do is just work on your drum patterns, pretty much get those down pat. And then by 7:40, we'll wrap up, clean up and everything in class. Go ahead and get started.